Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It is Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan doing what we do after every Eagles game. And lately, Adam, what we do after Eagles games is complain. Complain about seeing bad football and a very lethargic offense that seems to have no answers. The Eagles lose in Cleveland 22-17. Adam, it's the first time they've lost to the Browns since 1994. So, and you'd have to go back even further to find the last time the Eagles lost to the Browns in Cleveland. I believe it was 80.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they play a lot.
Yeah, no, they don't. But
these players are in those games. But yeah, I hear you. Look, it's an away game. The rain's exactly like we called it in the pregame. It's going to rain all game. It did. The footing. It's interesting. It's almost as though the Browns receivers and tight ends knew exactly what the footing would be like. They didn't seem to be slipping as much as the Eagles receivers were. But look, the fact of the matter is they got played. They got out coach outplayed, out everything. Once again, it's the same old story. SOS. But somehow, by the grace of God, they're in first place. Even with Dallas winning on Sunday night, the Eagles are still a half a game up in first place. They don't deserve to be, but they are. It is what it is. Their schedule is unbelievably undaunting. They play some really good teams coming up. At least the teams that they're playing are really good. I can't wait to see Russell Wilson probably dismantle the Eagles defense like he always does. Jim Schwartz never has an answer against Russell Wilson. Not that anyone does, but this is a complete team loss, by the way. The defense, we're not letting them off the hook. Nobody seems to be able to do anything right on either side of the football. They like the run defense played good for a half. But at some point it was going to break down because you have less than average linebackers who at times played really well in the first half, but then they regressed, which is what you would expect because they can never play a full game. Overall, it's a bad football team. They're 3-6-1. As someone with the Eagles told me this week, never imagined it could be this bad. Like I would agree with the people think, and it's true, they have a much better roster than they're showing, but that goes to coaching. They're not being coached well enough, and the players are not executing, and they all deserve it. It's a complete team loss. Trust me on that one.
Yeah, I don't even know how much that asterisk of they're still in first place in the NFC East matters anymore because there's so many. There's 7 weeks left of football to play, and the Eagles, as you just mentioned, have 4 really tough games in a row, and other teams don't have that streak of games. And as you mentioned, Dallas, they won, which was kind of amazing. I mean, Andy Dalton was on the COVID list for 2 weeks, and he actually had it pretty badly, if I'm not mistaken. And he leads a pretty good comeback win there. And then Washington gets a win, and the Giants were off. So the Eagles really the only NFC East team not to win, and obviously, the only NFC East team not to win. So we could be talking about this time next week, although they play Monday night after the Monday night game, the Eagles could theoretically be the third or fourth worst team in the division. So let me ask you this, just from an aerial view. I mean, we clearly see the Eagles as a bad team right now, a team that doesn't have any answers, and I think you agree. No identity, and I think you also agree that the whole first place in the NFC East means nothing right now.
It's a joke, right? It's a farce. Yeah.
Here's my thought on the aerial view of this team. Something has to change, and I wrote this on the observations.
Oh yeah, you got some comments on Sunday night. You got some comments. Go ahead.
Right, and I'm not trying to, obviously something has to change, right? But I don't mean just like they have to play better. Change. One of two things, in my opinion, must change. Doug either has to give up the play calling, or Carson's got to sit down and somebody else has to play quarterback. I'm leaning toward number one because I would rather see if a different play caller, an experienced guy, one of the coaches they have, makes a difference.
I've thought about it, and I've asked it either be Marty Mornhinweg, which I don't see happening at all because he's too new to this. He's been too away from the game. Or be Rich Scangarello, who was the Broncos offense coordinator last season. To me, it would have to be Scangarello. If we were really looking at it with clear eyes, I think it would have to be him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question. Well, okay, so, and I understand Matt Nagy did this. I'm told that it was Nagy's idea. He pulled the coaches in over a week ago and said, hey, listen, it's not working with me doing it. I thought about it. I'm thinking about what can we do to change it up. Now, he did it. Their offense with Bill Lazor, former Eagles quarterbacks coach, was horrendous in their last game, and they played Green Bay coming out of the bye. Good luck to the Bears. But okay, if you just want to do it, are you going to take it back? Doug is Mr. Stubborn. Graham Harrell probably would have been the Eagles' offensive coordinator, but Doug was not going to give up play calling, so it was never something Graham Harrell was going to settle for. He's the USC OC, so that went up in the air, in January.
Mm-hmm.
They have the coaches that they have. There's not much of a choice here. The offense is moribund. It's awful. It's actually like a train wreck. It's so bad. It's broken. The quarterback's broken. I hear you, and go for it if you want to. I guess you're to the point where it can't be any worse, I think, is kind of where you're headed here.
Well, I also think this. I think two things. One, the definition of insanity, as I wrote, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Last year, they were in a 3-game rut. They lost 3 in a row, capped it off with a loss to Miami, and everybody thought they were done. But they were really, 5-6 at that point? It's not like they were as bad as they were right now. They are way worse now. And then they also last year had a very light schedule to be able to turn it around. At this point, the Eagles are worse off than they were, and they have a very difficult schedule. So I'm at the point where I think I would just – and Andy Reid – look, Andy Reid is one of the sport's greatest play callers in the history of the sport. Right? He's won a Super Bowl. He's won as many games as all the great ones. And by the time he retires, he'll be up perhaps on a Mount Rushmore. We'll see. He gave up play calling in 2006 when
more than once,
his team was in a run. Yeah. But that's the most recognizable one because they were in a real rut. And it didn't mean Andy was a terrible coach then. He's clearly not. He's a great coach. It just meant that Andy recognized something's got to change. And a guy he trusts in Marty Mornhinweg took over, called the plays, and then they, rallied to win the division. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to rally to – I just want to see at this point, because we talk week in, week out about how the offense looks the same, the route concepts are the same. There's a little motion here today, but at this point, I need to know if Carson is salvageable, right? And so I need to see if somebody else can call
with
plays.
better coach. See,
that's what I need to see.
Yeah, he's more than salvageable with better coaching. I'm not dropping off that because I've seen elite football play from this guy where I'll say it again, it was the best quarterback play in my lifetime here that I could remember. I saw Jaws, Randall Cunningham. For those over 50, Mike Barilla for Jaws, number 10. That's the first Eagles quarterback in like 1974 I can remember, with Mike McCormick, the late head coach of the Eagles, who would later was with also Seattle. But they're at the crisis point, and I hear you. It's not a bad thought. It's just, I don't know that's going to solve anything. Scangaro's part of the group that is so unimaginative on offense.
But you could have said that about Morningweg, in 2006. You could have been like, this guy is the senior offensive.
What was it like? By the way, I don't remember. Tell us what it was. I don't remember. Was it any better?
Well, they won the division, so they started winning games. Okay. All right,
I don't remember. 14 years ago, I don't remember.
Here's the thing. That year, it was a little bit of a myth. People felt that Marty leaned on the run a little more. It wasn't that. They did run the ball more, but that's because they were a better offense in the first half and the first 3 quarters, so they were able to take some leads and win some games at the end. So it made it look like.
Do you have any idea at what point in the season?
Yes, they were 4-4 when he took over. So if you want me to check,
I think right now. Yeah, so
they lost the
what's unbelievable,
game,
Geoff?
I believe.
Ironically, guess when their bye was? Week 9.
Right. And that's when Andy, must have done some soul searching and decided that. And I remember him talking about it. He said, look, I think it just, he used the same rationale for when he benched Donovan. Sometimes you just need to take a step back and you need somebody else to kind of take the reins and you get to observe. And I think that's so fair that Andy once did it to Donovan, but he's also done it to himself. And Doug has been kind of stubborn about, I like play calling and this and that. And so I don't know if it's going to happen. But I don't know how you expect anything to change with this team, with this offense, if you just keep doing the same thing week after week after week.
Funny thing about that year in 06. So they're 4-4, then they would win 7 of their final 8. Mm-hmm. Jeff Garcia was the quarterback for part of that season, if you recall. I remember running to his agent, Steve Baker then, and who was Nnamdi Asomugha's first agent, and I remember there was such a clamoring to get him to Philly because he was the guy that would know the West Coast offense and knew Marty because Marty coached him in San Francisco. But here's the problem. There's no Nick Foles here. There's nobody else to turn to here. All you can do is turn and play call. You're not going to you're not going to turn to Jalen Hurts. He's not going to save the day.
I agree.
So you have what you have, but here's the one thing you have, which is different from last season, Geoff. The talent level at receiver is way better. Way better. That's the problem that I have with this whole debacle.
Right. That's why I sort of think it's salvageable, Adam, is because I know they have some rough patches there on the offensive line, but they do have better weaponry than last year. And Zach Ertz might come back next week. And I just need to see if a different play caller can get more out of what this offense right now.
Listen, Scangarello would be the guy. It cannot be Press Taylor.
No, I totally agree with that.
It cannot be. He's never called plays in his life. No, that would be if you thought Andy Reid made a bad decision when he made Juan Castillo the defensive coordinator, times this by 10, okay?
Absolutely.
That would be as bad as it gets. They've got Murderers Row. We'll get into the game, folks. I know you want us to talk about. We'll get into it in a minute. But they got
this is part of the game. Yeah.
Yes. They got the Murderers Row here of schedule. Seattle next Monday at the Packers. The Packers have not played well at home.
They
but
still score a lot of points.
Yes, they do. And the Eagles have to score points. Then they come home against the Saints. That would be the first possible game Drew Brees would could play because he's got to sit out 3 games. Then, oh my God, at Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. So, I mean, it's a nightmare right now. They're an awful football team. They've got talent that's not being used correctly. The coach, I'm someone I used to go out of my way not to criticize coaches, but I know enough about how things are being done and the lack of creativity. Everything that the owner wanted, they're not giving them. I had the note on our pregame show about Jeffrey said after the Dallas game, he made it very clear he was not happy, I'm told, with the direction of the offense. Breaking news, big deal, so obvious. But it's the truth. I mean, it's something that I heard of from a pretty good source, and that's troubling. Doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but I'll tell you what, my mom could tell you at the end of the season, if this offense doesn't improve greatly, there are going to be changes again. It's not me speculating. It's a fact. Everybody
we talk about this all the time.
Obvious.
They make changes when they win, so they're clearly going to make changes when they lose. Right. And we got several weeks to see what's going to be the first domino to fall there. Look, I hope everybody continues to watch Inside the Birds pregame live.
What a great show. Oh, my God.
Honestly,
what a great show that was.
And really prescient. There were a couple of things that both you, Greg Cosell, and Trey Thomas as well said about what they had seen coming out of the bye that really concerned them going into this game. Greg talking about the offense against the Giants and some of the routes and or the overall passing offense not looking a whole lot different. And we thought, you go into the bye, you soul search, you figure out what things need to improve, and you come out and you try to improve upon them. And what Greg saw said the Giants was it kind of looked like the same offense. And Adam, I even tweeted this, you had a really prescient statement because you had said that league sources who've been watching the Eagles tape have noticed that Doug Pederson asks his receivers, these young receivers, to win in man-to-man situations way too much. He does not do anything to scheme them open, and that was clearly a case.
And they're in minus splits. I mean, they're out. I'm sorry, they're out wide. Okay, the splits are out wide.
Right.
And what you do is when you have splits are out wide, they always explain to me is that you have to have in breakers. If you don't have in breaking routes, you're losing. You have to have. What you want to do is get them, if you're watching us on YouTube, get your intended pass target on a slant going forward. Don't let them stop. Lead them. They don't do that. Like, I didn't play or coach. I know this shit. This is an embarrassment, the way that this offense is designed. Pederson's better than this, but he sure as hell hasn't shown it.
That's the thing. He's so close to it now, Adam, that you wonder if
he
step
back. To your point,
take that step. I mean, Andy Reid was able to do it, but I don't know if Doug can. Yeah,
he's been stubborn about it, and I get it. He says it's fun. Well, guess what? It ain't fun getting fired either.
No, so it's not. And it can't be fun being 3-6-1 now, right?
No. You're lucky to be in first place. The only way they could save this season, number one, and we're going to get into the game really, really quickly here, and that'll be the first thing we'll talk about is the quarterback.
Yeah.
Look, the only way you could save this season is very simple. The quarterback must be cured. I don't know that he could be cured. The quarterback coach certainly can't do it. We called this 2 years ago. I knew it was going to be a problem. Nothing has changed. It's been worse than I could even imagine. The quarterback needs to be coached hard. He clearly is not. There's a way you need to coach this quarterback. The head coach should have learned from the guys who were here before how to do it. He clearly doesn't know how to do it. I like you've now convinced me that the head coach needs to be a head coach, not an offensive coordinator. I said this on the pregame show. The reason why Doug Pederson is failing completely this season is he's trying to be an offensive coordinator, head coach, instead of a head coach who just happens to call plays. He doesn't get that, and he's going to get it because if this thing doesn't get turned around, there are going to be changes. I didn't say the head coach, but there are going to be changes on the staff. Why? Because you have to.
Right.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. This is an absolute joke, this offense. This is about as pathetic as it gets. How the hell can they be worse than last year? Explain that to me.
You know, Adam, that's a great question. We talked about that on the Sunday pregame also, that, you know, even though with the line injuries, they shouldn't be worse because they have way more weaponry, way more speed.
I don't want to hear about it. And, Geoff, I don't want to hear about the lack of offseason. You know why? Because every goddamn team's got to go through this.
That is right.
Yeah, I'm angry because the head coach, he's let the excuses out. Boy, was he an excuse maker after the game. You think Bill Belichick's going to take this shit? He's going to say, no, it's on me, okay? We suck today. It starts with me. Okay, Andy Reid took a bullet for the team. He never made excuses. As bad of a job as he did at the end. I was there. I worked for the Eagles from a media standpoint, 11 through 13. I was there in 12. I hated – I mean, I loved the job, but I hated coming to NovaCare then. It was tough to be around those coaches because you knew they had no chance to turn it around.
Right.
And I'm getting that eerie feeling. It's getting away from Pederson. I hope I'm wrong, but I do believe this thing is salvageable because the talent level is there around him. But when you don't see it, Geoff, when you're involved and you don't see it, it's really hard because you don't have any leadership there within the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Leaders get this thing turned around.
I guess where I feel like it might not be salvageable is I believe the offense perhaps could be salvaged, whether it's Doug or a different play caller. But yeah. Man, you can lose these next 4 games like 31-28. You could play well on offense and still not win because you're playing a very good caliber of team here. So they've dug themselves a very big hole. And not only do they themselves need to get their shit figured out, but then they got to actually be able to beat some pretty good teams.
And Mosher curse. Yes,
I did. You started it. We're gonna. I
hate bad. Look, I don't cheer for the Eagles. I'm a reporter. Geoff and I put our analyst hat on, but I hate bad football. I really hate it. Like I had to suffer through watching the Jets on Sunday. That's bad football. It's a bad team, poorly coached. But this team should be so much better. This on paper by roster is a 9 or 10 win team because the coaching has been so bad and the excuses are so bad that they're so much worse than I expected. When I say worse, I thought they'd be way better than this. I was wrong. Hell, I can't even pick the games right, for Christ's sake.
You're the only one that took the L this week, so we all caught up to you.
I should put duct tape over my mouth when I have to give my game picks. Anyway.
Ouch. All right, I'm going to remind you of that on Monday night. No,
bring it in. Bring the tape. Yeah.
Well, Adam mentioned that, we are reporters by nature. If you're looking for some really good, takes on this game from the fans, you got to go to PHLSportsNation.com. That's what they specialize in. They are for the fan and by the fan, and they enhance your fan experience with their coverage of the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, and the Union. Check them out on Twitter as well, at PHL Sports Nation, and go to their website, phlsportsnation.com. We'll pause real quick for a word from our sponsors, including our good friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, Adam, let's start with the offense against the Browns. I should say offense, and start with quarterback. All right, so this might sound nitpicky, and I know some people out there who want to kind of remove Carson Wentz from any criticism at all and point at everything else.
No.
I'm going to be a reality here. Even on the touchdown to Richard Rodgers, he was very slow to recognize that Richard Rodgers was open. Now, I get it, not the first read. He did a nice job of going from the first read to the second and going through his progressions. But he started to almost run, then he stopped, then he threw the ball to Richard, who's been standing in the end zone like, hey, I'm here. So I hate to kill a guy for throwing a touchdown pass, but that's emblematic of his entire season. He's just reluctant, and he doesn't see the guys when they're open right there. Oh, and the fact that whenever he does complete a pass, it's to Richard Rodgers.
Yeah, so one of my Brown sources said to me when he broke down the Eagles' offensive tape, he said, Wentz throws with no anticipation. He's never seen this out of Wentz before. He's so broken. He waits for someone to break open. He's almost, and I never thought I'd say this about Wentz, he's almost a see it and throw it quarterback, which is totally not him. But he's so broken and so lost. he does, like, for instance, the pick six, he's got Rager on a wheel, right? He looks, he sees it, but he doesn't throw it, and then he looks to the left for Sanders, and it's too late. He gets hit.
I know.
It's really, he's so broken. It's past the maddening point. It's like, I wish they had Foles here to start for 2 or 3 games just to clear his head, but they don't. And that, I'll tell you what, that's a way you save a quarterback. I remember when Jaws told me when they benched him for Randall Cunningham. Well, what it was is they would take him out on third downs, and it pissed him off because it was the Randall package. Because Buddy Ryan wanted to get him on the field just to make him play, which is not the way you coach quarterback.
Right.
But it would piss him off. Sometimes when quarterbacks get benched, it's like, what else could you do to me? So they come out firing when they come back. I do believe that's what I would, if I were the head coach, I would do that, but I'm not. Clearly, Pederson's not going to do it. And I understand that, folks, here's the thing about the Eagles season, which is comical. They're still technically in first place.
We got to stop saying that.
No, but here's why I would do it.
That is comical, yeah.
No, but here's why I would do it. Even if they played the kid against the Seahawks and got blown out, okay, then they'd be in second place, right?
Right.
But I would like to have Wentz take a step back. I really would. He's got to clear his head. He really has to get clear eyes, because he's regressed so significantly. It's far worse than mechanics, folks. You clearly don't know football if you think it's just mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
I had it explained to me by a very high-level source who works in the National Football League. He gave me 10 things that are wrong with Wentz. Mechanics are in the top 5. And that's the other 4 are more damning. And it's not all on Wentz. It's coaching.
Right. Go back to last December, by the way. Yeah. He threw no interceptions. They won the last, 4 games, 5? I forget it anymore. But he wasn't mechanically perfect. We would point that out.
He was throwing it,
careful, and he was confident. Yeah.
And he was throwing it. Remember we said, I remember you wrote this. Trust you might, in the title of that show, it might have been in November before he started playing really well. Carson's not trusting his pass. Whatever you came up with was so apropos of where he was. And then those final 4 games. And I get the schedule was good, but that had nothing to do with it. It was like, okay, I'm with these guys who shouldn't be playing. Hell with it. If they don't do well, it's on them. I'm just going to throw them the football. Right. Here, it's wait. Okay, I'll just throw it, but I'm not comfortable with it. That's how bad he is right now. I mean, it's inexplicable. This guy told me Sunday night. He said, "Dude, you have no idea." Because he asked me what I thought, and he goes, "No, man, it's way worse than that." And he went down a bunch of things. I was like, "Can I write this down?" He goes, "Well, I'm not going to repeat it. I'm driving." I'm like, "Okay." But I thought it was phenomenal. And he goes, "Man," he's the guy who told me with no anticipation. And then a Browns guy also said the same thing. I mean, it's just, he's so broken. It's sad to watch. It really is. The kid is so gifted. It's hard. And the coaches have done such a poor job here. I don't know that he can be rescued this season. I just don't.
No, I think that last interception that he threw was kind of indicative. I mean, he's just hoping for something, and he throws it up. I mean, I get it. It's the end of the game, but still, you have a chance to put the ball in the end zone there if you make a good throw. And
are you talking about the one to Jeffrey?
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know.
I mean, but what
it was desperation. That's what it was.
I know, but it just was weird. He threw with no anticipation, but so as we break down the offense here,
right? Tight ends were good, right? I mean, tight ends.
They were great. Yeah, they were great. But I do want to say, like, the route combinations are awful. They put so much. My Browns guy told me they put so much on the receivers. And here's the thing that's really damning, which bothers the hell out of me. He went back and he watched every throw Wentz made last season too, because he had some time to do it. And he goes, he really said this, like, he could not find a discernible difference between this year's route concepts and last year's. That's really, I mean, what else can I tell you? That tells you everything you need to know. That these new coaches, what the hell are they bringing this season?
Right. Like, where are the ideas? And where's Doug's ability to adjust when those route concepts aren't working? And I tell you one thing.
Great point.
I tell you one thing that really.
He's veto power, Geoff. He's veto power.
I know. Here's what really bugs me. They make a concerted effort to get the ball in Greg Ward's hands on some real quick stitches right to the sideline. They did it last week against the Giants. Yeah, they get the ball out of Carson's hands and then try to get Greg Ward a little, flow in space. Why don't you do that same exact thing for someone like Jalen Reagor, who is way twitchier, way more explosion, can make people miss, or even Travis Fulgham, just to get Travis involved in the game again.
Smoke route. For Christ's sake, they don't do smoke. That's a
they do it to the slowest wide receiver on the team.
Oh my God! Yeah, great point. Yeah, I don't. Again, the whole offense is broken. I see. You made the best point of all that I've heard really the last 24 hours. If Pederson would take a step back with clear eyes. What clear eyes means when you don't have the responsibility, when you're calling the plays and you're the head coach, you're clearly not seeing it when things are struggling. Unless you watch the tape. But in game, you clearly don't get it, and the conceptual part of your offense is so bad and so lost. You're not seeing it. Mm-hmm. It probably is let's say he's just assisting on the game plan the whole day. He obviously would be involved in the game plan. He could coach Wentz more, by the way, who needs it. But I don't see it happening now. If Roseman and Laurie brought him into his office and they said, "Hey, listen, I think you need to give this up. I think you need to give it up and get it for a couple games." Mm-hmm. We're still in it. Even if we lose next week, we're definitely still. We're probably going to be in it to the end because none of these teams are any good. We're very, very lucky. This division is historically bad. That's what I would do. If I were in those shoes, I'm sitting him down, and he's not going to have a say in it. You're taking a step back and you're giving it up.
And we may see. We'll see if that happens. I'll give you reason number 2, Adam. I forgot that I believe that Doug needs to take a step back, and it has nothing to do with the play calling, actually. For the second straight week, too many ridiculous penalties. And this time, you can see that the penalties were the result of the other team studying how undisciplined they are and using that against them. How many times did they have a hard count jump? Oh. I mean, Baker Mayfield got 4 guys to jump off sides and turned second and third and this into second and third and short, which is a lot more easy for a team that likes to run the ball, right? I mean, Doug needs to step back, and when he sees that in practice, which Brandon Graham alluded to last week, he said, look, guys are making mistakes in practice. It's up to the coaches and it's up to the players to get that settled out. We talked about it on the pregame show. If that's going on that much to the point now where the opponent is using that against you, not once, not twice, but 4 or 5 times, you gotta take a step back from your worrying about play designs and get on people in practice for jumping. You gotta spend all your practice barking at guys, or else it's not gonna stop. So that's another reason.
I remember, Geoff, I remember watching Andy in 2011. It was the Jim Washburn year, which was pretty ugly. Obviously, that was a fake dream team thing. But I remember watching him, and I did some reporting, because this is when we were allowed to watch all practice. And I remember him going over to the defense and then watching, obviously, Castillo because he had to. Or what was one, the DC, 2010 or 2011?
2010
coming out of lockout 2011
2011 and then the first few games of that.
He was watching Jim Washburn, and he was also watching Juan. And really in an inordinate amount of time, I was like, wow, he must be concerned about it. So I wrote about it, and it was true. He was. You know what? Doug's got to start looking at how these guys are being coached. And all right, so before we get out of the offense here, I got to bring up the offensive line. What the hell happened to their offensive line? So they were awful.
All right, now do you understand why whenever the Eagles get guys back from injuries, I say it doesn't matter, because every time they get guys back, 2 or 3 guys leave. So how long could people be excited about the fact that Seumalo was back and you had 4/5 of your starting offensive line intact? Well, you still didn't have Herbig, and then out went Jason Peters.
That was odd.
Yeah, again. Then out went Jason Peters. Then out went Jason Kelce. Then Jason Kelce came back in, thank God. But then out goes Lane Johnson.
But Lane gave up a bad sack where he was handled. Okay, he was driven back. But overall, their line was awful. This is one of the worst games they had this season.
Yeah, there was no continuity.
No, okay, that's fine, but it's true. But overall, they didn't get off to a good start. We didn't talk about Sanders. He was okay. The fumble was inexcusable. I mean, they were running the ball down the field. He looked great, and then he fumbles. I mean, you can't have that.
Yep.
Once again, he was a non-factor in the pass game. I understand the rain, okay, folks. I get it. But look, here's the funny thing about Baker Mayfield. Didn't have the greatest game in the world. He only had to throw the ball 22 times, which is exactly what the Browns want.
Yep.
But how many shot plays did they hit him? They beat him on a 42, a 43, a 21.
Yep. He made him count.
Yeah, and also Hooper would have had a touchdown. Mayfield, awful throw, got off balance, should have hit him. they're just, the Eagles are totally broken here. I don't
Mhm.
know. Like last year, they got themselves together for that final quarter of the season. Do you get the feeling that they could turn? I know the schedule is like impossible over the next 4 weeks, but could they even play competitive football at this point?
Well, no, I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, the ability for them to stay in this game, despite having zero offense and turning the ball over on their first 2 possessions, Adam, was that they were playing a team that could only really run the ball and get a few pop plays from the quarterback. Now you're going to go play teams like Seattle, like Green Bay, that New Orleans that can pretty much score on multiple possessions. And once they get up, they don't relent either. You're talking about some aggressive coaches there, whether it's Sean Payton or Pete Carroll or Matt LaFleur. I mean, these guys smell blood, and it's going to be very, very difficult for the Eagles to stay with unless they score. And again, they're not.
Well, I mean, the only way they could score is if Wentz was his old self.
Right.
Even the
And
2019 Wentz that closed the season. Oh boy, the Eagles would be like they'd have 5 or 6 wins right now. But he's a bottom 10 quarterback, actually almost bottom 5 the way he's playing. I can't believe it, but it's true. The pressure got to him. He doesn't look natural throwing the football. His footwork is atrocious. He's clearly not being coached well enough. That's the tape telling you. That's
Right.
everybody I've talked to, including our Greg Cosell's watched it. You know, Greg only goes by what he sees. He ignores all the noise. He just goes by what he sees. And Greg has talked about it all season. Greg agrees with our sources on what the tape looks like for Wentz, and the route combinations are bad. It's just got to be better, man. And there's time left here, but time is running out, as you said.
Tick, 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 tick. All right, let's get to the defensive side of the ball first. Make sure you download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code ITB for a special offer when you sign up. That is code ITB for a special offer when you sign up only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You started to mention it, Adam. The defensively for about 3 quarters, the Eagles did pretty well. I mean, it's not a great offense.
Against the run.
Against the run. Yeah, but those chunk and 2 of them that you mentioned, one was Rashard Higgins, and it came against Avonte Maddox, who we've talked about.
And then he's not.
And then there was there's not. And then there was that pass interference that he had as well. They picked on him.
Yeah, Avonte is going to be if next year I would assume they're going to draft an outside corner. They don't have any choice; they have to. It's a major priority, way more of a priority than I imagine. If you put him as your nickel, have him playing only inside, boy, you're going to be so much better as a football team. You got Slay on the outside, you get Maddox as a slot, you get a much better with size and outside corner. Now you're cooking with oil there. They got intermittent pressure on Mayfield, but as I thought would happen, they'd roll him away from pressure because it's rollout left, reverse pivot rollout, wide zone run. The Eagles had that. The Eagles, I'll tell you this one, they had it scouted out really well. Whatever their advanced people gave them, they had the run scouted out well. They did a great job. They had a quarterback keeper for Mayfield, had like 7 yards, but really did nothing else than that. They didn't really do RPOs with him.
Right.
Or zone read. So they played in the Eagles' hands. And look, the Eagles' defense was respectable, but they don't challenge, Geoff. They don't do anything that makes you go, wow, this is a really good defense. They really don't.
They flash, right? The defensive line flashes.
Good way to say it. Right. Sweat had a beautiful sack.
Yeah.
Sweat had some good plays in the game.
Malik Jackson, man, I thought he killed Baker Mayfield with one of his. Oh no, was it Chubb? He basically he put a flying shoulder into Chubb.
Hargrave got a hit on. Hargrave got a nice hit. Joe Osman got handled.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's going to be a me in that play. Yeah.
Oh boy. Welcome to the NFL, Joe Osman. Yeah.
By
the way, the footwork of Nick Chubb is elite.
He's big as hell.
He has an unbelievable start-stop ability for a guy that big.
And he's big as hell. That was the thing about. He's like he looks like a superhero. Doesn't he? He's like this, you know.
He has ballerina feet.
He's great for a guy as big as he is. But the funny thing, as bad as they played, they really had a chance to win this game. They're so bad on offense. Here's the thing about the defense. It's still not good. It'll never be good enough because they don't play well from beginning to end, but they have a respectable defense. And if the offense is better than average or average, they're going to be a team that's going to be 500. But the defense is not good enough to carry them, and that's kind of where they're at.
Yeah, I think we hit it exactly on the head with these linebackers a couple weeks ago. stable, right? Nate Gary's not there. He's not getting abused in coverage. Singleton and Edwards give you a level of stability that can help you, but they are still going to get exposed at critical times. And I think you saw that. I mean, the run defense was pretty good, and I will put some of this on the offense. Turn the ball over your first 2 possessions. Your defense was out there a whole lot, so probably more so than you would like. But nonetheless, you wore down in the fourth quarter, and then you kind of got trucked by a really good, 2 good running backs there. And that's the thing. They're going to have to face that week after week after week. These guys are going to have – for this defense to be good, the offense has to be good too. Because if it's on the field too long, it's going to get exposed at linebacker. It's going to get exposed at Jalen Mills trying to come in the box and make plays, and it's going to get exposed by Avonte Maddox on pretty decent number 2 receivers. If they don't score points, the defense is going to look a lot worse. It's not like a shutdown defense.
Yeah, and the shame of it is Sanders has a really good first half. Yes, he had the fumble. Mm-hmm. They're moving in on the ground. This is exactly what you should be doing in rainy weather, where you kind of knew going in the weather forecast was going to be what it was. It turned out to be correct. They ran the ball well with Sanders. Okay, he had the fumble, but they would bog down. They had the ball more than the Browns did. And then you look up, you're like, how the hell are they down 7-0? How do they not score in the first half? Goddard had a couple big plays. We came in talking about that. This should be a Goddard game. It was. Richard Rodgers, it wasn't in the first half, but the second half he came on. But once again, they bogged down. They turn it over. They're finding inventive ways to lose. The quarterback is broken. There's time left to turn around, and their time's running out, though. They're very, very lucky. They're in a very historically bad division. And it's going to even get harder because the schedule – see, the thing is they've wasted this great schedule. That's the thing that's maddening. God, they've had a good schedule.
That's the point I made last week, is that they were supposed to get fat on playing Cincinnati and playing Washington and playing the Giants twice in the first 6 games. I mean, they were – and then you felt like if you won like – 1 or 2 of your games against the Rams, the Bengals, the Steelers, and was there another team in there that was Niners, right? You felt if you won like split that 2 or 4 or something like that, you'd be good as long as you won your your cupcakes. But the cupcakes wind up being better than you, and you're not that good. And here you are looking to try to improve your season against some of the titans of the league.
Yeah, I agree. The only time it eases up is the last 2 games of the season at Dallas and versus Washington. But
right
at this point, I've always said this, and I learned this from some coaches I know. When your quarterback's struggling as bad as he's gotten to the level, they could be playing a high school team. The quarterback's not seeing it. He's not seeing the field clearly. He's not accurate. He's not comfortable. He's not throwing with anticipation. He's not playing with confidence. And this is one of the 10 things that, I was looking at here in my notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way out? Yeah, there's a way out. Get his confidence back. I'm getting the hell out of his hands when Ertz gets back. What Bill Polian said if you haven't listened to it, boy, everything Bill said still holds true that he said on ITB TV. When he gets Ertz back, and I know Ertz didn't play particularly well before he got hurt, but you got Ertz, you got Goddard, you got Rager, you got Fulgham, you got Sanders. I mean, there's so much talent around him. Get the ball out of his hands quickly. Get him confident, Doug. Time's running out. It's your job to get him out of it, and the clock's ticking.
There you go. Clock is ticking. All right, Adam, let's talk about our friends real quick from Manscaped. We all know 2020 is a little nuts, but that doesn't mean you should disregard your nuts, no matter what size or shape. In fact, Manscaped's on a mission to take care of your manhood with their below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And great news, as we've said for the past few weeks, they're available in the UK, Canada, and Australia for all of our ITB listeners on other borders, all right? So they just released the Crop Care Kit, which is a formulation bundle to give you A-plus ball hygiene and is the ultimate male hygiene kit for you. The Crop Care Kit includes the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, and the name speaks for itself. It's got the Crop Reviver Ball Toner, which is a little spray-on toner. Gives you a little slice of heaven there with aloe vera and hazel extracts. And they've got the Crop Cleanser Body Wash, which is a full body wash that you can use on your hair. And, of course, the Crop Mop Ball Wipes, because you never know when an opportunity strikes, so you got to be prepared. Then you got the Foot Duster. Free gift, and I always talk about how beneficial the Foot Duster is. It's one of my favorite Manscaped products. Okay. Really nice when you're on your feet all day like you and I are, and you play tennis, so you know the feeling. You got to get some freshness in between your toes. And don't forget about that trimmer for your butt balls and your body. The Lawnmower 3.0 offers a replaceable ceramic blade with advanced skin-safe technology, which helps reduce those grooming accidents. We are saving men around the world by pitching Manscaped because you reduce those grooming accidents, and you don't want those. The waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower and for up to 90 minutes. That's for the real, Goliaths of the world who need 90 minutes right there for the Bigfoots. These formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free. So
That's important, by the way. No chemicals, man.
I agree.
No chemicals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice and safe for your skin and natural. So your manhood's in good hands. So you're probably playing with your balls right now, so you might as well invest in the Crop Care Kit to make your balls elite. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using code ITB. All right, that's using ITB. You get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. It's the holidays. Get on the deals now because you won't be sorry. 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Use that promo code ITB. All right, Adam, who would be your Manscaped man of the game?
Nick Chubb. Got to be Nick Chubb. He was tremendous. I love that. Yeah, he gets stymied in the first half, but he just gets it done. That 54-yard run was incredible. He's got to be mine, and it is.
That's 20 rushes for 114 yards for Nick Chubb. I cannot give anybody else that I think is deserving of Manscaped man of the game. So I'm going to echo your sentiment and say that Nick Chubb is my Manscaped man of the game. And frankly, I'm going to give it to him just for the stiff arm. Well, first he gets off he just basically gets Alex Singleton out of the way. And then he just shoves Joe Osman. I mean, Joe Osman has a family. Nick Chubb had no regard for Joe Osman's family as he shoved him to the ground with one hand like that. So for that, he's got to be my Manscaped man of the game as well.
Good. I agree.
So look, here's what I don't look forward to this week, because we'll be back Wednesday with a tape review. And then, of course, Friday, 6 a.m.
I look forward to it because I want to see, we Sunday we saw the game live. I want to see what my guys say. I'm very curious what the tape looks like. Sometimes, Geoff, we're really surprised. Sometimes there's positives. We go, wow, I didn't see that. Okay, well, make sure we mention it. That's good stuff. Yeah, so I do look forward to seeing. But go ahead. Yeah, we got an interesting week because we got a game Monday night.
Yeah, that's right. And then obviously Thursday is Thanksgiving, so you'll have 3 games there too. I feel like the storyline this week is going to be a lot about DK Metcalf. I think you're going to hear that a lot this week.
I think the fans they know he's great.
Yeah.
I get it. The JJ thing but it's over and done with. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he's on the COVID list, but he was healthy inactive before he went on the list. So that ship has sailed. Okay, it is what it is. Eagles said that it's very simply it was a medical issue. Okay, but that ship's sailed, and it is what it is.
It is. It is one of those things that you hear browbeated a little bit more when the team stinks, and when the player that they passed on is very good. And I'm just saying, I feel like you're going to hear a lot of it this week.
Oh, yeah. I hear what you mean by the not looking forward to hear it. Yeah, look, it was no different than Brandon Graham and JPP and Earl Thomas. Brandon Graham, I think, is a better football player than JPP. I mean, we could argue it, but it took a while. That's why you have to give just a couple years for the draft. You can't – the JJ things that you don't have to wait for.
Yeah,
but
that's
for Rager and Justin Jefferson,
right?
You got to give it time.
I agree with that. 100%. But I do think the ship has sailed on the Arcega-Whiteside versus
over. I get it. I wanted to wait.
Knockout.
Well, no, it's funny because I wanted to wait. People wanted to say it was done in a year. I'm like, okay, it looks bad, but can we at least get to the second season? Well, we did, and it is what it is.
It is. All right. One thing I do want to hear, well, maybe other people will want to hear, is you and I will be on the Fanatic Monday night, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. That's tonight for most people who are listening to the podcast. But we're on every Monday night. We will not be on next Monday night because that's when the Eagles are playing the Seahawks. We will have our normal pregame show, though, and then we'll be back on the Fanatic the following Monday night after their game against Green Bay. So make sure, if you can, to catch us this Monday night. Is it not Green Bay? Isn't it?
Wait, is that a Monday? Are they playing back-to-back Monday nights?
No. We're just going to be back on the air on our normal Monday night after the Sunday Green Bay game.
That, as a matter of fact, Geoff, they only have one more technically, and it probably will be changed if the game means anything. They have no more 1 o'clock games until week 17.
Oh, that's too bad. I like 1 o'clock
it's
games.
the Green Bay games at 4:25, New Orleans 4:25, Arizona 4:05, Dallas 4:25, and the Washington game's 1 o'clock. But again, that game will be changed if it means anything. There's no question about that.
Well, we'll see if any of these games get flexed to Mars by the end of the year.
Well, maybe, it will be funny. It's funny. What the Eagles are so bad, it would be funny if they flexed them out, which happens, by the way.
Oh yeah,
that's an ultimate insult, by the way. But yay,
what are you gonna do? All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check him out on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads, and check him out on Twitter at Broads81. If you get a chance, go check out Motion Broads on his YouTube page, where we mix it up every week now on some things going on in Philly sports. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Birds.